Hi everyone, we're back again to discuss yet another player West Ham are linked to in this window. He's another winger, in this case Marcus Edwards of Sporting. I'm not going to say Sporting Lisbon because that is not their name. I'm going to call them Sporting. So Sloth, how did you feel when you heard this one? Did you think it had any legs? Do you think it's just a name kind of put out there because it's homegrown, or do you think this is one that maybe there is a genuine interest and we will try to...
I just think this is transfer guff. You know, he's a great player. He's tearing it up in the Portuguese league, the Liga NOS. But I just think it's nonsense. You know, he's got a 60 million euro release clause if reports are to be believed. He's 5'6", and I just can't see a player further away from Moyes' list of wants and needs. Look, I'm not debating the fact that he is a great footballer, and he would be. I would love to see him at West Ham at some point. But if you're telling me we're going to spend 60 million euros this window, I'm probably going to have a few expletives for you. But I also think that there's just better ways to spend that money. You know, we've covered players who would cost that fee combined. You know, if we were to sign Rowe and potentially Jimenez for say 40 million euros, and then Rowe for like 15-20 million pounds, then it's still probably going to be cheaper than Edwards, with all the agent fees and all the bonus fees you're going to have to pay. So I just think it's I think it's nonsense.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So we'll talk about the player, but from a terms of a deal or the validity of this kind of deal, I would say if I'm ranking this out of 10, it's a 2. I just don't see it having any real legs for many of the reasons that Sloth said. You know, the height one is a massive kind of piece. He's only 5'6". Now we know Moyes likes players towards 6 foot and above. He's not physically imposing or particularly strong. Again, that's going to be another concern. And there is arguably, and murmurings are true, and again, a lot of murmurs are said about Moyes, and not often true, that he has reservations of his own squad and players because of their height, their size, and so on, and their physique. You know, you do look at someone like Edwards and a link to Edwards and say it doesn't compute. It doesn't really fit with what West Ham is in the model. And yes, we do have smaller players in the likes of Bowen. However, they're pretty robust physically and quite strong. Others that are not tend to fall by the wayside. Again, it's not going in on him, but we know he's probably going on the outbound. But, you know, Saeed is an example of a player that doesn't really fit from that physical side, or one that always matches up against players. And I think whilst Edwards can be an exceptional player, physically he can be a bit bullied a little. However, his pace is a great equaliser and gets him away. And, you know, he's had an interesting career path as well, Edwards. I think was obviously at Spurs, a part of their youth team. Didn't really work out for him. Kind of arguably people would say he took a backward step in going to Portugal. I think he went to Victoria in Portugal, had a couple of really good seasons before then Sporting then took the leap of faith and brought him over, and he was exceptional last year. Was one of the players, again, who was vitally important in knocking out Arsenal. I believe he got one of the vital goals, which would have pleased him immensely, being an ex-Spurs graduate, and definitely would have pleased the Spurs fans as well with him getting that goal. And this year, again, he's been absolutely brilliant. You know, if we look at it statistically, you know, he's absolutely smashing it this year. It doesn't do much from a defensive standpoint. Again, red flag from Moyes. You look at what he does from a defensive side, you can even tell from the heat map, he is absolutely a player that is kept very high on that right-hand side and is all about getting up that right flank and cutting in to then get into goal-scoring positions. And he has done that this year. You know, 4 goals. Again, is a good return for a winger. His crossing ability is very good. Again, he's involved in terms of key passes. He's a very creative element. A lot of that is just his blistering pace, and it is absolutely blistering. I'd say even put Kudus to shame in how quick he is getting across ground, and again, being able to carry the ball. Whilst he doesn't have that strength, because of that pace, he is able to absolutely breeze past players when they're trying to come in to make contact with him, and it does draw fouls because, again, a player of that slightness and that pace, the slightest knock is going to send them over. And it's great if you are, say, a set-piece team and you need a player that's going to buy and earn you fouls, or to get and play on the counter-attack and to get you up the field. He's a fantastic foil for it. However, when you look at him in relation to West Ham, all of the elements, if you just talk about that kind of piece we just spoke about, absolutely 100% fits West Ham to a glove. It's a great player for West Ham. However, then you look at the physical attributes and the physical side of him, you then start to go, actually, this is not really going to really work, arguably, because he just doesn't meet the profile, and he just kind of, it seems perfect at the same time, completely at odds with West Ham's recruitment in recent years. I don't know how do you feel about that? Sort of, and obviously him as a player as well, and yeah, whether this just seems a bit of an odd mix.
Yeah, I think this is just. I don't know who came up with this link, because whoever it was, just.
I think X said he was a player that we've been interested in, we've looked at as well. So I think it has come through X. If it hasn't, apologies. But I think X has said it's a player that we've been interested with, and obviously he's been linked in the press as well.
Yeah, but it's like it's like me saying, "Oh, I'm interested in the Victoria's Secret Angels." You know, it's all well and good saying it. It's irrelevant if you're not, you know, if it doesn't fit the system. So I just think it's a bit of a strange one. It's not a Moyes player, and look, if he was getting stuck in and defensively those numbers were way up and the work rate was there, then yeah, I'd be like, well, maybe Moyes would overlook it, but I just can't see it. As you mentioned, his pace is absolutely ballistic. Like it would make quick players in our squad look slow. He is that quick. And he's part of the reason that Sporting are doing as well as they are, particularly Gyökeres. You know, someone like him getting fed by the balls of Edwards is absolutely thriving, and he would work in our system if we had a player like that, but we don't, and that's the big difference. So look, I don't think there's any links to this really. We may have sent scouts there. We may have also sent scouts to watch, you know, Gyökeres. We may have sent scouts to watch Diamande, who plays for Sporting.
Yeah, you've got Diamande, the centre back. There's also Ferenza, the young right back from Spain, who would draw much attention. There's a lot of good players at Sporting that very well could be looking at. Obviously, Edwards, I think the main reason is because we are dramatically losing homegrown players. We are selling players off now. We obviously moved Coventry. Not to say that he was important to our team. However, he did give us a homegrown number. He also gave us a club trained number when we look at Europa League. And that's another important thing, is that with Europa League, you need, you know, 8 homegrown players. Of that 8, arguably you need 4. Obviously, you can have more homegrown players. However, there is if you only have 8 homegrown players as registered, you will need to have a 4-4 split, or you then need to drop your team. And obviously, if we're looking at, say, Johnson, etc., going, we're losing a homegrown and a club trained. It does mean that we can only register obviously 2 less players in our squad. So we do have to be very mindful, I think, of how we are doing some of our recruitment. We have maybe not invested enough in developing internally, and maybe investing enough in young upcoming homegrown players, which is one of the reasons why we think Rowe has substantial legs, because I think that's a player we would invest in for the future in the homegrown kind of level. And yeah, with Edwards, as much as I'd like to see him, because he's a player that I've said I think a season or 2 back that would be an interesting player for us to go for. Physical profile, it just does not compute, and whilst he would be a good player for us, it's not one that I see moving forward. So I think we'll leave it there. It's a short one today on this one, but again, it's just because as a rumor, it doesn't feel true. It doesn't feel to fit with West Ham. So whilst we both concede it'd be a lovely player to have at West Ham because of his ability, it just isn't one that's going to happen for financial reasons, and just it's too at odds with what David Moyes likes in a player. But, guys, leave us your thoughts. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, please do like, please do subscribe. And as ever, thank you for watching. Sloth, any last thoughts before we end this?
Nah, no. I just think I think it's nice to be linked, isn't it? It's nice to be linked with exciting players with a lot of pace. But yeah, just this link doesn't feel very genuine.
Yeah, absolutely concur. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. And as always, come on,
you Irons.